I'm back. It's day 3. And today is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Working from home life. Well, actually, I didn't work from, well, I didn't have to work today. I was babysitting. But I just be messing up the days. When you work from home, the days just be going. So, today's topic is the implications of gluttony and changing the behavior. Which I found this very interesting. Let me mute this. Oh wait. Okay, there we go. My bad, y'all. I need to put my laptop in. Okay, so day 3. So I was looking up some scriptures, and the one scripture that I stumbled across that really stuck out to me was Proverbs 23, verse 20 through 21. 23. Really? Oh, okay. It starts over here. Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. And I was like, wait, what? I had to read that a few times. I was like, that's in the Bible? Oh my. And so I think I explained before, like, I do like to look up definitions in Hebrew so I can gain a deeper and better understanding. So, and then also Hebrew describes things by its function. So wine bibbers actually means to drink a strong drink that can cause intoxication. So basically it's one that drinks a strong drink that can cause intoxication. And that drink is an alcoholic beverage from its ability to make one drunk and dizzy. A turning around from dizziness. Because you gotta think about it. When you feel dizzy, how does it make you feel? If you spin and you just spin and spin, this is how you're gonna feel. You're not gonna feel stable. So just think about that. What happens when you spin in a circle? You get dizzy. Riotous eaters means a shaking of fear or overeating. And flesh translates to report. When good news is brought, a feast with meat is prepared. Which is so interesting because anytime you have like a feast or a celebration, food is always there. And flesh is not always, what am I trying to say? Never mind. I don't know what I was trying to say. Also flesh we know as the skin and the muscle, the whole of a person. And then also, flesh can be meaning meat as food. That's what I was trying to say, and didn't slip my mind. So verse 21, right? For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty. Oh, so the verse Proverbs 23, 20 through 21, I was breaking that down. So verse 21, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So drunkard means someone who drinks heavily. Heavily, yeah. And basically it's this it's the same meaning as wine bibbers. And then glutton is literally the same as a riotous eater, someone who eats and drinks to excess, basically overeating. And so I'm like, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty. I'm like, oh my. I didn't know that was a result of that, a spiritual implication. And we know poverty is basically, it's interesting because poverty has another definition. It actually translates to inherit. The inheritor becomes the head of the family. I didn't know. Now I know in this context it means poor, but I like, words can have various meanings, but I cannot make that connection of how that works. I was just thinking, I was like, well, is that something that the drunkard and glutton inherits? They inherit being poor. Um, and I think a lot of times we think of poverty as somebody who has no money, but poverty is a whole mindset. There's a lot of things that can equate to poverty, but everything starts in our mind. So if somebody has a poverty mindset, they're going to be limited in a lot of things um, that they will do or can do. And so I broke down drowsiness, looked up drowsiness, and actually means slumber. And the root word of slumber means sleep and tired, a semi-conscious state between sleep and awake. And I was like, that's interesting because what happens if someone's drinking or when someone's overeating? They literally start to get drowsy. They literally get slumped. They're not thinking correctly. They can actually fall ill. That can actually make them literally sick. Um, so that was interesting. And it says that they shall, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So that's what the person's going to be wearing, drowsiness. And rags is a torn piece of cloth. So that's basically just destruction. Yeah, so I just thought that verse was just really interesting. And it made me really start thinking about gluttony because gluttony is a sin. How do we know that? Because the wages of sin is death, right? And gluttony leads to death. It can lead to a death of finances, a death of relationships, a death of a spiritual death, an emotional death, a spiritual death, a physical death. So many different types of death. Death of your mindset, death to your health. But obviously, in this state, yes, we're just we're speaking on the topic of food, but just know when the spirit is involved, it will work its way through every aspect of your life because every aspect of our life is actually literally connected to our health. And another reason why it's a sin is because there's no self-control in gluttony. There's no self-control. You just want more and more and more and more and more. More. There's no self-control. Like, you're like, oh no, I'm done. Nope, you're not. You're just going to keep on going, And self-control is actually a fruit of the spirit. So in, was it Galatians 5:22? Wait. Oh, here we go. Galatians 5:22 and 23. Where is it at? Oh, but the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. Against such there is no law. The meekness actually equates to the self-control, because I'm reading the KJV. And it's just so interesting because when you go a little further up in verse 16 leading into the fruits of the spirit, drunkenness is actually included in there. For this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Now, for the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lavish. Did I say that right? Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like. That part right there, and such like. Other things that fall under those windows. Of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. And then it goes into the fruits of the Spirit. So that's just to show you how and why gluttony is a sin. And so the thing is, when it comes to gluttony and taking this to Yah, right? Because obviously we need to know, is this an issue that we even have? Some of us have this issue. Just something that I have battled because I had my own issues of overeating, which I'll share later. But the thing is, some people don't even realize that they deal with gluttony. They have no idea, and maybe they don't even care, but they could just be ignorant to it. So the thing is, whether you're not sure or not, take it to Yah. Ask him, literally ask him. Ask him if you have gluttonous behaviors, and to show you in your life where it could be. Because even though, yes, we're talking about food, it can still show up in so many other areas of your life. Because remember, everything that's connected to you is your health and wellness. All right. Also, asking him, where did the gluttonous behavior come from? These are things that you actually want to write down these questions and then sit with him and journal about. When did it start? Because you may gain insight about traumas or issues that was basically causing you to devour food and alcohol and do other things where you lack self-control. Hello. Also, repenting for the behavior, because once he tells you and you realize that you have that issue, you gotta repent for it. You gotta repent for it. And then ask him his truth about about the matter. Because when you go deeper in that way and getting that revelation from him, it can bring up a lot of things that you didn't realize was connected to it. And it can be very heavy. But we have to realize that a lot of the things that cause us to seek other things other than God, like food and overeating and using that as a comfort or support, those things were lies from the enemy, so we have to seek Yah on his truth. And what does he say? What does he have to say about the matter? And then also just be patient with yourself, because a lot of these things that get revealed to you, they can be heavy. They can be very, very heavy. So just be mindful of that and be kind to yourself. So when it comes to overeating, right? For me, it started in the 7th grade. It started in the 7th grade when I started overeating. And to be honest with you, it was hard for me to really make the connection, like where did it come from? But it was something spiritual, because there is that pattern on one side of my family where there's a lot of overeating. There was a lot of like the infirmity, a lot of people overweight. So it was an issue. And I remember it was the first year that I went into the next school year and my clothes didn't fit. And that stands out to me because that's never happened before. Like maybe like 1, 2 things start getting a little tighter, but like nothing fit. And I started, but the thing was, I was hiding food. I remember my dad, I still remember this to this day, when he was in the kitchen and he took out leftovers, because he would just cook and then we would just eat until it's gone. We was leftover people. And he was like, I just cooked this. Like, where did food go? I didn't say nothing, but I was eating it. Like, I would eat dinner and then I would go back and eat more and then hide it. And I had no idea why I was doing that. But the thing is, I never processed. There was a lot of things, first of all, I lost my mom when I was young, and I never processed that. It was just like, okay, she's gone. I cried, move on. So not processing that, those things start to come up. When I was in seventh grade, going into eighth grade, so what, 13, 14 years old, somewhere around there. Your body's changing. You're going through puberty, like you're experiencing new things, and so like you don't know what's happening, and maybe there's just things that you want to talk about. And again, I didn't grow up in a household where we really discussed things. So I kept everything to myself and I used food as my comfort. Um, my mother was morbidly obese. It was quite evident that she used food as her comfort. A lot of people think that overeating is just somebody just, I mean, yeah, right? Somebody's being greedy, but there's an underlying issue. There's an underlying issue, which actually takes me into um, idolatry. Because a lot of times people don't realize that they actually make food their God because of that emotional dependence, because that's what they're turning to. What is it? Exodus 20, verse 3 through 6. Okay. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the heaven beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers unto the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So idolatry will literally cause iniquity upon your future generations. So your behaviors affect the future generations of your children, of your family, I should say. I am not. We're not doing this. Like, seriously. All right, so the other one is Leviticus 19:4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. And so basically what an idol is a god without power. Literally. It's a false deity, it's worthless, it has no value. So think about a person, I don't know, they're experiencing that they have an issue, they're stressed out, they have a problem, and rather than turning to God for comfort, right? They turn to food for comfort. When we actually have a comforter, the comforter is the Holy Spirit. So we are choosing another comforter, or we're making something in the place of the Holy Spirit. And a person just eats, they just gorge themselves with food, and they may feel satisfied in the process, or they think they are, but then what happens afterwards? They feel guilt and shame. They are tired. Maybe they ate themselves to the point where they're throwing up, but then at the end of the day, guess what? That problem that they got, it's still there. It didn't get solved. They have no solution. And then they just find themselves just keep repeating that cycle over and over and over and over again. And it's so interesting because I was thinking about the guilt and shame part. And I'm like, have you ever felt guilt and shame after going to Yah for comfort? Like, you might have felt guilt and shame going to him, but once you work out what the problem is, when you walk away, you feel whole, you feel filled up. And that's the difference, because he is the one true God, not these other things that we turn to for comfort. It don't work. It don't work. And I think one of the things is we have to remember that food has a purpose. We have to remind ourselves food has one purpose: to give us energy and to sustain our bodies, to help us grow. Literally, like, that's it. That's it. It serves no other purpose. And so I wanted to share some ways to change gluttonous behaviors. And obviously, repenting and reading scriptures that align with what you need help with specifically. Because when it comes to gluttony, yes, it's, just based off the definition, yes, we all have to work on the same thing. But where the root of it is coming from, it goes deeper than that surface. So you have to find scriptures that will help you walk through it. Okay, so one of the things I already said, reminding yourself of what the purpose of food is. The other thing is eating with, because that leads to eating with intention, basically. Are you hungry, or are you thirsty? Some people eat when they're actually thirsty, because they're not staying hydrated, and sometimes that feeling will come from the same place. So you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to that. The other thing is, when you're eating, try not to have other things going on. A lot of times we'll eat, be on the phone with somebody, we'll eat and be watching TV. And what that does is it just distracts us, and you'll just wind up keep going. Versus you actually taking your plate or your bowl or whatever, sitting at the table and just being present with your food and enjoy your food. You can actually enjoy your food. Like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you're eating. Think about, like, how does it taste? Sever the taste and basically just enjoy it and eat it slow. You don't have to rush. I think that's another thing too. A lot of times it's like, oh, I got this to do, I got that to do, and then you're scarfing the food down your face. That's not going to really work well for you, because your body needs about like 20 to 30 minutes to really catch up with itself, to process, oh, wait. Oh, you know what? We're actually good. We're satisfied. We're straight. We don't need no more food. So then what happens is you eat so fast, and then, well, there's two things that can happen. You might eat so fast you think you want seconds, and then by the time you eat the seconds, you're really stuffed. But that's basically just what just happens. You'll eat too fast, and then you realize you ate way more than you really needed to, and then you're drowsy and not feeling well. Even when it comes to the rushing part, like giving yourself time to eat, literally take out a half hour. Like, literally schedule that time. If you have a lunch break, to actually take your entire lunch break. Give yourself time in the morning to eat breakfast, to eat before you get out of the house. Take time, set a time in the evening, so that way you can actually cook and prepare your meal. Because that's you just sitting there and preparing your meal is actually a form of self-care, because that's you caring for yourself and being intentional, and putting that love in the food and doing what you need to do to sustain your body. Because I think one of the things I've noticed is A lot of people seem to find it inconvenient to care for themselves. So it's just like, oh great, oh I gotta cook dinner. Da, da, da. Oh great, I'm hungry. But they don't feel like getting up and getting themselves something to eat. So they rather starve or just find something quick. And then when they find something quick, they wind up still hungry because what they grabbed is not sustaining them. Let's see. I just jumped all over the place. Oh, eat when you're hungry. So I say this, right? Okay, so during the Daniel consecration, obviously you're eating plant-based foods. And if you're not used to eating this way, you may feel like you have to restrict yourself. Because I've noticed when people eat the SAD diet, which is the standard American diet, they'll eat everything under the sun and don't care. But then when they go to change and incorporate, well, and move into a healthier eating lifestyle, they restrict themselves. And it's like, okay, eat when you're hungry. Like, why don't you stop eating? Like, it doesn't make sense. A lot of people who go plant, I can't say a lot of people, but I've talked to several people that said when they went plant-based, they were hungry. Well, that just meant that you needed to eat and you didn't eat. You may not be eating enough. You may not be eating the right things, the right combinations. It takes learning. But for whatever reason, there seems to be this fear of eating, and I don't get it. I don't. But if I do get it one day, then I'll share. Oh yeah, I did mention this already, but just spending time in the kitchen to prepare the meal for yourself. That I will say, when you're not used to cooking your meals, I think in our minds, plant-based can be just like a diet. Oh, for sure. I definitely agree. I agree. And that's why it's important to realize what lifestyle changes are you trying to make. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It does. Thank you. So when it comes to being in the kitchen and you're not used to chopping up stuff, it can be a little frustrating because guess what? That means you got to slow down. There's no, trying to cut corners. Yeah, you can buy stuff already chopped up. But you got to pay a little more for convenience sometimes. But if you don't really want to do that, that means you got to stand in the kitchen and make everything yourself. One of the things that helped me was I used to put on something on my phone. It drove me nuts to have to stand in the kitchen because my brain be like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm good now. Like, I can actually like be in there and just cut everything in complete silence and be okay. But in the beginning, it was hard. So I'm like, oh, all right, we putting a movie on Hulu. Oh, we putting a series on or stuff like that. You can put on something on YouTube or music. Do what works for you. Do something that will help. Because sometimes when you're so used to being fast paced and you're learning to slow down, it's almost like your brain needs to do two things at once. So it's like, because you're focused on a movie or you're focused on music or a TV show, it'll allow your body to be present in what you're doing. I know it sounds weird. I have no idea the science behind it. I just know it works for my brain and a lot of other people's brains. Yeah, the slowing down. The slowing down is interesting because we don't realize there's so many areas in our life that we have to slow down. I think we always just think of it as a whole, like, oh, we got to slow down. They're slowing down with work. They're slowing down when it comes to hanging out with people. Not saying that there's a problem with hanging out with people, but maybe you're tired or things like that. There's just, and you just saying yes, 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 and it need to be a no sometimes. There's slowing down with eating. There's slowing down with spending. There's just a lot of slowing down that we need to do. Even when it comes to just regular movement, be rushing for no reason. Just be rushing for no reason. Nowhere to go. I remember I used to go grocery shopping and be rushing through the grocery store, and I'm like, that's why the grocery store is so stressful to me. Cause I'll be rushing through the store like a woman on a mission, and then I realize, like, slow down. What you got to do when you got to get home, Judy? And I'll be like, oh, not much. So then I'll just be like, okay, you know what? Let me just go in here and look at the aisles and stroll. And then I'm good. Now I'm good. One thing is emotions. Because a lot of this stuff, when it comes to the idolatry, it's the emotions. What are emotions? Paying attention to what emotions trigger you to eat. Some people eat when they feel sad. Some people eat when they're anxious. Some people eat when they're angry. Some people eat when they're bored. But you know what? It might not even be boredom per se. It could just be like, it's just something to do. That's my struggle. It just be something to do. And I'm like, get it together, Judy. Just get it together. But really knowing what emotions trigger you to eat. And honestly, write it down and take it to Yah. Because the thing is, learning self-awareness is key. Paying attention to your habits and your behaviors. Because then you'll start to notice the pattern. And then you'll be able to say, okay, there's something here. There's something, a deeper connection to this. And he'll be the one to help work you through that. And he'll even can lead you to other people in your life that will help walk you through that as he's leading you. Yeah. And remember that it can be layered, because you think it's one thing and then you're like, oh, okay, it's this one thing. And then it goes down to something else. And then that opens the door to something else over here. Also, I think one of the other things is a lot of times we focus on what we can't have rather than focus on what we can have. So when it comes to changing the way you eat, there's a lot of new, right? And when it comes to something new, what do you think of? The word that just popped into my head was explore. I love an adventure. Sometimes some adventures be a little rocky before it gets great, but I will explore something. Okay. And so it's like when you have a different thing presented to you, like different foods, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe there's a look up a new recipe you can try. What's the difference between when you were looking up different recipes before? Because when you ate the way you ate before, you was looking up all the recipes on Google, on YouTube, taking snapshots of menus at the restaurant. Because me and my friends used to do that. Of the ingredients. I mean, obviously they tell you like the way to cook it, but we'll, do the ingredients and then make it ourselves. Yes, creativity and innovation with new eating habits. Yes. And I think a lot of it is being presented with a different perspective. Because I think a lot of times we approach things with, oh, we can't have that, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't have that. And then it's like, well, what can we have? What can we do? Because there's so much freedom there's so much freedom within those things. I mean, the first freedom is life and being able to live, because the other thing was causing death. So appreciating the fact that you have an opportunity to even get healthy, to have an opportunity to take care of your body. Some people don't even have that opportunity. Unfortunately. Yeah, we do. We look at it like a punishment instead of the benefit that it is. Yeah. IG does. Has all the amazing plant-based recipes. But you know what's interesting though? I've noticed, because I've done it, how many recipes you can save, send to one another, but then it's like, what recipe did you try? Now I know you be trying recipes. I'm not coming for you. I ain't coming for nobody, but I'm just saying. It's like really thinking about it like, okay, we can collect all the information. We can get this, we can get that, but when are we actually gonna implement it? Um, I wasn't even, now that I think about it, it wouldn't be bad to mention. So the stages of change, right? It's like pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and then relapse, because sometimes relapse is a part of the process. And even when relapse happens, it's an opportunity to learn what went wrong. So then that way it'll produce more, further growth. So maybe somebody told you that you need to start eating healthier because your health is, I don't know, you like, oh, the person, oh, you got diet. Well, not you, but not y'all, but like somebody has diabetes and they got high blood pressure and something else, and somebody's like telling them they need to change the way they eat, blah blah blah, and they're like, I'm good, whatever. That's pre-contemplation, because it's like somebody's telling them, they hear the person, but they ain't really hearing the person. Then they really start to think about it, and they're like, you know what? Maybe that person's right. I do need to make some changes in my life. Now they contemplate, do they really want to do that thing? And before you even, so after that, right? A lot of times we expect people to just jump into stuff, but now they got to prepare. What does that preparation process look like? That preparation process can look like um, figuring out what food, what new foods they can incorporate into their diet and lifestyle. Other research on, I don't know, herbs or just whatever they need. What grocery stores can they get some of these items from? Because they might not be able to find it at their regular grocery store where they normally shop. Um, what else might they need for preparation? Oh, some recipes. So that's them preparing for that, right? They may have to, and again, yeah, with the research and everything. And then after they prepare, that means they have everything that they need to move into the action stage. So now they can start doing the things that they were learning, implementing it. Budgeting too. That is true. Budgeting too. This is true. This is true. And some about me, I don't shop at regular grocery stores. Regular grocery stores, eating a certain way will actually cost more money. Literally. I don't think people like realize that. I'm like, because I remember when I changed my way of eating, I was like, dang, I can't shop here no more. And so I started checking out other places. And that's actually cool too, because you get to explore other stores. So after preparation, action, so you move into the action stage, and then there's the maintenance. So once that person is doing, they're doing their thing and they're maintaining, they just gliding smoothing along, and then what happened? They messed up, went back to the old habits. Oh crap, then had a relapse. No big deal. That's all right if they relapse. Not saying that it's okay that they did that, but it's an opportunity to say, okay, we need to look at what happened. What happened here? Maybe there was a stressor or something like that, a life thing, and you're learning to lean on your new habits, but you went back to your old ones because normally that pops up first. And speaking of that's going to go into stress. That's something else when it comes to changing gluttonous behaviors, dealing with the stress in our life. And when I mean dealing, with it. I mean, like looking to make a change. So we're not, what is the word I'm looking for? So we're not managing it. A lot of times we try to manage stress. So we're trying to manage all the problems that are already there. We're trying to balance out the problems versus seeing what needs to be let go. Sometimes you just got to let stuff go because we're holding on to things that we shouldn't be no longer holding on to. So we got to figure out how can we reduce the stress. Because a lot of times it's the stress that's causing the overeating. You know what I mean? So again, it's like, oh, overeating's up here, but it's the reasons why beneath. So you got to get a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, and you keep getting to that main root. Also putting the food on a plate or a bowl versus like the original container that it's in. Like if you have like actually, as an example of what I did today, I was eating broccoli and hummus on the way from Sam's Club. And I was just putting the broccoli right out of the container. But that seems okay. But the thing is, what happens is you wind up you can just find yourself just keep eating versus if you took some scoops, put it on a plate, and you had your serving and everything's put away and now you're sitting down eating. Because then you're paying attention to what you're actually doing, and it goes back to enjoying your food and being able to allow your body to process. Oh, you know what? We're actually good. We don't need no more. We straight with the one serving. Uh, the other thing is paying attention to how food makes you feel after you're done eating it. And I feel like there's a few things like with this because when people change their diet, the things that are healthy for them, their body might actually reject because there's a lot of toxins. Because when there's a lot of toxins in your body will start to reject what's actually good for you. And then when you actually clean out your body and you eat well and you try to go back to the things that you used to eat, your body will reject that. So I'm just saying, you have to use wisdom when it comes to this. Because like, for example, I used to have raw food allergy as far as like I could not eat raw nuts. I could not eat raw vegetables. Like the vegetables had to be cooked all the way through, like, to the point where they were clear. Yeah, they had to be cooked like that. And so I just stuck with that. I'm like, okay. And some fruits too. I could only eat them if they were baked. So I just stuck with what I was able to handle, and over time, my body just started. It just started to do its thing, and I was able to eat. Now I can eat raw salads with all the veggies in it with no problem, at all. Now some of this stuff I do, it's a mental thing in my head because I was scarred from the allergic reactions. So I'm still working on some of that. But it's a mind thing, but my body can actually handle it. Um, keeping your boundaries around food with friends. One thing I've noticed is there's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of peer pressure from adults when it comes to respecting somebody's food choices and respecting if they want to drink alcohol or not. That is something I that I've noticed, and it's weird. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but it's just weird because when you think of us as adults, right? What is the main thing that we tell children? Don't let nobody bully you around and all of this other stuff. Meanwhile, a person will turn around and start bullying their friend based off of you. Oh well, come on, just drink a little bit. Oh come on, just eat this. It's not gonna hurt you. Like it's fine. It's no big deal. Blah blah blah. And there could be some reasons for it. I mean, one of the reasons is you're doing what you need for your health. So that literally puts a mirror in front of their face and they don't like it. So they want to drag you down with them. And they start to feel guilty. Other times is they just might not want to see you healthy because they really don't care about you and they want to see you sick. Like, I mean, that's harsh. It sounds harsh, but sometimes it's true. But yeah, don't let nobody bully you. Like, don't let nobody bully you. I think sometimes we need to rephrase these questions. I don't know, like, because it's like, oh well, why you don't want to drink? Why do you want to drink? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I answer my question. Let me ask you now. Well, that's just my thoughts. But then also, it puts you into a place of people pleasing. Also, on the flip side, when you allow people to bully you, and now you go to somebody's house and you said that you're not going to eat. Oh well, why you not eating this? I made baked mac and cheese, and you're not going to have none, and blah blah blah. And now you feel that pressure, and now you're the one suffering with your stomach hurting, headaches, vomiting, whatever. And it's like, and they just chilling, and they good. And people pleasing, that's not cool either, because they are not our God. And we don't want that, right? And the other thing is being kind to yourself by checking in with yourself. It's important to check in with yourself during this time. How do you feel? Like, it was the day a little harder? Was it a little easier? Why or why not? Are you feeling lighter on your feet? Do you have more energy? Do you feel more sluggish? That can happen too, because if your body's going through a state of detoxification, you're going to feel a little more sluggish one day. So it's important to get rest and think about what you need during this time. So I'll definitely checking in with yourself and talking to Yah about your experience along the way, because he's the only one that's going to help you navigate properly. And then also remember that the lifestyle change is the goal. Nothing short term is going to be a long term fix. And I think that goes back to, oh, this is a diet versus this is a lifestyle change. If it was a diet, because what a diet is, it's just something that you do temporarily and then you go back to doing what you did before. But I think we don't realize when we're doing something that is actually benefiting us and then we go back to that old thing, guess what's going to come back? All the old things, everything. So keep that in mind, that the lifestyle change is what is that's the goal. And then also to progress over perfection, which goes back to the stages of change, what I talked about. It's the progress that you're making. You're going to mess up. But when you mess up, just remember, ask yourself, what happened here? What happened? Because it's the opportunity to learn. And a lot of times, well, the one thing is you're learning yourself. That's the main thing. You're learning yourself. So a lot of times when you make these changes, you're not going to know what to expect. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for tonight. And thanks for joining. Any questions? Any questions? And if you would like to join the consecration, it's not too late. You can head over to www.enticerenewed.com and sign up. So then that way you can get the digital downloads on what you need. So that way you can have that set foundation on what a consecration is and what's the difference between a consecration and a fast. And then join the community chat. And what else? Oh yeah, and have the link for the video chat, so that way we can just connect and check in with each other via video in person. Not really in person, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, well, it looks like you ain't no questions, so I hope y'all have a good night and be well. All right, bye y'all.